Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you had a spectacular weekend. You know, the weekend that we just had that was more like September, maybe early October, then December. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was kind of loving that. If it never got colder than that here, there'd be no reason to think about moving anywhere else. Getting your Christmas tree in short sleeves. Ooh, baby. I love it. So I hope you had a spectacular one. Hey, a couple of quick things this morning before we get to our main topic. And those two things, well, let me give you some calendar updates just for today, and then we'll go to the two reminders and then to our main topic. So 9:30 today, Business Builders with Debbie Orr in her Zoom room. And then 1 o'clock today, do make sure that you are in this Zoom room for the Events Mastermind. A number of you have asked for that event, so we put that on the calendar for you. And what that's going to be is a conversation and discussion around events that you're planning for your database. Either you've done successfully in the past, or you're planning on doing, or listening to each other talk about what opportunities there are for things like events. Remember, your database ultimately is your path to success. And oh, we got an open mic. Hold on a second. Let me just mute that. There we go. And one of the best ways that I know how to, let's be clear with each other, right? There are some of you who are never going to call your database. And so if you're not going to call your database, let's make sure that we have events scheduled, either Zoom or in person, so that at least you're touching your database that way, right? If the calling thing is not going to happen, well, let's just do it a different way, right? We can text them and we can get them to events, and that will check that box. So today at 1 o'clock, Events Mastermind, I'm excited to facilitate that with you. And there's a lot of you who are doing really great things that you want to hear about. Okay, so the two reminders or updates for today. Number one, January 13th is our big, massive celebration. You can call it a holiday party. You can call it a celebration for the past 2 years. You can call it whatever you'd like, but we are having a great big party at the Hyatt in Greenwich, January the 13th. We do need to have registrations happen early for that. And now I understand that what went out isn't an RSVP, so there's no way to say no. So here's what I'm going to ask. If you know that you're not going to attend, could you just send me an email that says exactly that you know you're not going to attend? We would encourage everybody to attend. However, if you know you're not, either you're not going to be here, or you're not interested in having fun, or you're looking at other reasons why that might not be for you, please do just email me and let me know, right? Because we need to get our arms around what this is looking like, and the yes registration thing that went out is a little limited in terms of the info that we're getting. If you are planning on attending, please go ahead and jump on that Eventbrite link that was sent out last week a couple of times, and go ahead and register so that we can continue to plan that forward. The second reminder I wanted to give you was about family reunion. I'm hearing more and more and more people who are attending family reunion in person this year. That's really exciting. There's going to be a really great group of us that's heading down to Orlando. So that's happening the 19th through the 22nd of February. You do need to grab your tickets. At some point, the ticket prices will go up. Either if you're staying here and doing it digitally, as many of you did last year, or if you're joining us down in Orlando, either of those registration prices will not stay what they are today, much past the first of the year. My guess is that they will stay there until the first of the year. We don't have a firm date on that, but if you haven't grabbed yours yet, go ahead and grab your registration. And I do know there was conversations around really inexpensive airfares on like Spirit Airlines. I know Spirit Airlines is not really travel for some of you, and yet I understand that there are some opportunities for really inexpensive travel down to Orlando on Spirit. So I offer that to you for what that's worth. All right, so January 13th and then February 19th, two great events, two awesome opportunities for some in-person fun and learning that we make available to you, but you do have to make some decisions and move forward on that relatively soon, so that you are you are all set. With that, what time is it? My goodness, look at that. We have a nice big chunk of time to chat. So I had the privilege over the weekend of seeing the movie King Richard. And for those of you who don't know what that movie is or what it's about, Will Smith, national treasure, Will Smith, plays Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams. For those of you who don't know who Venus and Serena Williams are, I encourage you to please open a computer, open a newspaper, or just get up out of bed. Right? They are clearly the two of the biggest stars in women's tennis of the last 25 years or so, and still going strong. I might add, at 40 and 41 years old, still going strong. Crazy. And so this is it's really a story of Richard Williams, their father, who kind of orchestrated their entire career. And it's not about their fame. It's about from when they were little to when Venus just started to play her first professional matches. So that's the kind of the time period that it covers. And it's a great movie. Period. It's a great movie. And there were a couple of things that I pulled away from it that I wanted to make sure to share with you this morning. Because what would 2 hours of Will Smith be without some good business lessons, right? So here they go. Lesson number 1. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So this is clearly a favorite saying of Richard Williams, because it comes up all the time in conversation with his daughters. When they go out to practice on the tennis courts in their neighborhood, they have big oak tag signs that say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and they hang them up during practice. Pretty spectacular. So I love the visual of it, right? So just so you know, Richard Williams wrote up a 78-page plan on how to get his girls to the top of the tennis world before they were born. Before they were born, he wrote that plan. And then once they were born, started to implement that plan, right? What was fascinating to me is that these are not two girls who showed up and started to show real promise in tennis. These were girls who were born to a father who decided that they were going to be stars in the tennis world, and just took action consistently to make that happen. That's impressive to me. For those of you who think that you can't have whatever you want, well, and even when they were challenged by the tennis world along the way, right, his plan was the one that got them where they wanted to be, not somebody else's plan. Because if you see the movie, he pushes back on pretty much everybody else's plan. Even when his decisions were controversial. One of the most controversial decisions he made was to pull Venus out of the juniors tour, right? She started to play juniors, and he didn't like what was happening to him and his family. And so he pulled her out. For almost 3 years, he pulled her out. And she didn't play on the juniors circuit, which is how everybody gets to the pros, except for Venus and Serena, because he had a different plan. Right, lesson number 2, clarity of vision. Lesson number 2, clarity of vision. Richard Williams saw exactly what he wanted for his daughters and for his family, and lived nearly every single day executing activities to get them all there. His vision for Venus, to be number 1 in women's tennis, number 1 in the world. His vision for Serena, to be the greatest of all time. Now, I'm not sure if you know what's happened in the last 25 years, but Venus certainly became number 1 in the world, only then to be surpassed by her sister. And Serena Williams is arguably the greatest tennis player that has ever lived. Right? Some people say that Serena Williams is arguably the greatest female athlete of all time in any sport. Right? Yeah, I love what Adonis just said. Speak it into existence. Bam, you got to follow that up with activities, but bam, you're there, right? So the best quote from the movie around clarity of vision, their neighbor don't forget the Williams grew up in Compton with not a whole lot. They had seven people living in a small bungalow in Compton in LA. And their neighbor across the street thought that they worked their kids way too hard, either with practice or with schoolwork or with everything. And at some point she calls DCF on them. And so Richard Williams comes home from practice with Venus and Serena, and only to find that the cops are there with a DCF worker. And his argument back to the DCF worker is, do I work these girls too hard? Yes, I work these girls as hard as they have to stay off the streets. I am in the champion raising business in this house. What a great line. I am in the champion raising business in this house. See, he was so clear about what he was doing. He wasn't raising great tennis players. He was raising champions. That clarity of vision is a huge part of what got the Williamses to where they were. Lesson number 3. Lesson number 3. You've got to stay prepared for whatever is unpredictable. You've got to stay prepared for whatever is unpredictable. What does that mean to you? I'm going to stop a second. What does that mean to you? You have to stay prepared for whatever is unpredictable. Go ahead and unmute and I'll call on you. Or pop it in the chat. You have to stay prepared for whatever is unpredictable. Yeah, Jeannie.
You have to be very quick to pivot, as we all learned from the pandemic, that nothing stays the same.
Yeah, 100%, right? Even though the word pivot somebody said to me the other day, that's probably the most overused word from the last 2 years. I'm like, I don't care, because you know what? It's a word that defines the last 2 years. Literally waking up every morning and saying, okay, what do we have to do differently? What new direction do we have to go into? Right? If you want the best conversation around the word pivot, Google Friends episode pivot and watch that 20 or 30-second piece when they're all trying to bring that couch up the stairs. I won't say anything more about that. Who else? Anybody else? You have to stay prepared. Whoops. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Take appropriate action. Right? You have to stay prepared because you never know what's going to be thrown your way later today or tomorrow, 100%. Right? Improvise, adapt, overcome. I love all this. The unpredictable is bound to happen. Yeah, I agree, John. As a matter of fact, you can count on it, right? It's inevitable. Unpredictable is what life is about. So just prepare accordingly so that when the time comes to pivot, you're not so thrown off balance that you lose momentum. Yeah, unpredictability is predictable. I love that, right? It's like the only thing the only thing that's certain in life is change, right? It's not going to be the same. There we go, Michelle. You and I are on the same page. All righty, lesson number 4, and then we're out. Lesson number 4, belief. Belief, all in capital letters. To me, the main theme of this entire movie, and therefore the main theme of the entire Williams sisters' lives, was Richard Williams' unwavering belief in what he was doing. It was his belief in his plan, his belief in his daughters, his belief despite being told no over and over and over again. His belief regardless of the fact that people did not take him and his family seriously. In no small part because they were a Black family from Compton pushing into a predominantly white upper class sport. If you think that didn't play a huge part in the struggles that they had, but also in the desire to prove everybody around them wrong and get where they wanted to go, huge. And what was most important, what most impressive to me was his ability to take that belief that he had in himself and transfer that into his children. He coached belief out of his kids or into his kids. Right? When interviewed early on, Venus is 11, Serena's 10. The interviewer says to Venus, what do you want out of this? I know what your father wants, but what do you want out of this? And she says, at 11 years old, I want to win Wimbledon as many times as anyone's ever won it. And the interviewer says, well, do you think you can do that? And she says, I know I can. I don't know if you've paid attention, but Venus Williams went on to win Wimbledon 5 times. The interviewer then turns to Serena and says, well, what about you? Who on the tour do you want to play like? And Serena says, well, actually, I'd like other people to want to play like me. At 10 years old, that was her answer. Serena Williams has won 23 major singles titles, more than anybody else. So what about you? What is your plan? Is it based on clarity of vision for your future? Are you staying prepared for the unpredictable? Do you believe in what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it? These are all spectacular questions that you should ask yourselves as you continue to plan for a 2022 that is unlike any other. Guys, and if you haven't seen that movie, King Richard, starring Will Smith, I encourage you to do so. It's definitely worth 2 hours of your time. Have a spectacular day. We'll see you later. And of course, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Bye, guys. Love you.
I don't know. I went to sleep myself.